Hey, good afternoon, good evening, I don't know, whatever it is. Got some storms rolling in, which is really nice. So welcome back to the channel. So update on the pivot. So we've got the pivot going, and we've got some wheat coming up, volunteer wheat, which is really nice. It's been about 7 days, 8 days since we planted the grass. That grass is a mixture of tall fescue, smooth brome, orchard, and rye. And that's a custom blend that we got for our area, for our conditions that we have. So I noticed over here that we've got, basically on this hill, we've got very little growth, and our hill does that. But what I've also noticed when it's not so wet, we just got a rainstorm that came through, is we've got streaks coming across here, and then we build a lot of pressure and we're good in this valley. And then you can see, I don't know, up here you can see that we start getting a little light again. And so talking to the farmer that's helping me, he was telling me that they'd started re-nozzling this system, and they don't think they finished it. And so we need to go through and double check the nozzle package to make sure that we are producing and providing the water that this thing is designed to, for the amount of water that we're pumping. Right now, it is on paper supposed to be nozzled at 200 gallons a minute, and we just need to double check this to make sure that in fact it is. And the way we do that is there's a printout that basically comes through here and shows you that these are all the different, this is the first tower. So basically from the pivot to the first tower, actually, why don't you take this off, Temperance? Take this gray paper. Perfect. And then pull the white paper out a little bit. Perfect. So basically you can see, so from the pivot down to the tower, we have 28 drops, and the drops are these guys right here. And it's the information on here will say how much flow rate is coming down here, what the regulator is, these are 10 psi regulators, and what the nozzle is, which is this here. So for instance, it'll say drop number 5, and it needs to be a number 4 light blue nozzle. So we'll come over here and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll come over here, and these just clip out, and we unclip these, and it goes, and it has a little number here, and it says number 4. Looks like light blue to me, so this one is done correctly. And then we just clip this guy back in, maybe if I can do it one-handed. They just clip in, and that's good. So we have to do that all the way down the line. There is 134 drops, and so Temperance and I are going to go all the way down the line and check all of them and see where we're at. If we find out that everything is nozzled the way it's supposed to be for a 200 gallon per minute production system, then we will need to look at nozzling this down probably to about 150 or 160, somewhere in there, so we can get our pressure back up, so we can get a good even flow distribution across the field. Because right now, like I was showing you before, it's very, very spotty on some of the rolling terrain. So when Chelsea and I were doing the math on this property, we basically determined that we've got about a 40% drop in water production that we can take before we need to look at putting in wells and all that kind of stuff. We, in our assumption, when we put all of our numbers together on this property, we did put in that within 5 years we would have to drop a new irrigation well. That's just something that you have to live with in this area, because they've been pumping this since the 40s, and water then was at 160 feet. I don't know what it's at now, but I know it's not there. The bottom of our well is at 200 feet, so my guess is we're right around, you know, 170, 180 feet, somewhere in there. But that's just an assumption we put in when we put the bid on this place, is that within 5 years we'd be putting in a supplemental irrigation well. And that is very typical for this area. A lot of pivots in here are running 3, 4, 5. Some of them even have 6 wells coming to them. We're really hoping we don't have to go down that route. So the first thing first is we go back to the basics, figure out what the baseline of our system is, and then we make decisions off of that. So that's what we're gonna go do. Is light blue?
Yes, so both
What about number 9?
Number 9's light blue 4.
What about number 10?
Wait 1 minute.
Oh, we just got done checking the pivot, and I decided I'll show you guys the planter that put this in. So this is a seed planter specifically designed for planting seed, and it's got these things here. These are called ring rollers, or you'll also see them called cultipackers, depending on what part of the country you're from. But basically, there's one up front, the seed comes down, and then there's one in the back. And so basically it just creates a little hole, the seed drops, and then it gets smashed back into the ground. So seed goes in here, and then it spins around and then gets dropped out. And the tractor that was pulling it was a 7330. Pretty awesome tractor. It's got the weights up front. Looks like it's 4-wheel drive. Did a good job. Oh, there's a proud boy right there. Okay. Alrighty, so it's been a few days since we've re-nozzled the pivot. You may remember that we didn't even have any water up on the hill a few days ago, so we went through and re-nozzled the pivot. Basically, the nozzles are these things that sit inside each drop down, and it regulates the flow of water coming out. So I need to go walk the line here and see if anything is clogged. It's about a once a week task that you got to do. We're learning that, I guess I better get my bucket, or at least not forget about it. We're learning that, I don't know, what are we learning? We're learning that in the springtime, we have great water pressure, great water flow. As we move through pumping season into the fall, we find that our water availability goes down, and that's just something that happens. We knew we were going to have some issues, but didn't realize that we would drop off as much as we did. But everything's a learning experience, so we're learning. But check it out. We do have little grass coming up. See right here. That's little baby grass. And it's all over the place, so that's good. We're greening up. That's a good thing. So this pivot was nozzled at about 400 gallons a minute, which is, that thing's noisy, hold on. Which is what we're doing in the springtime, is about 400 gallons a minute. Right now we're doing right about 200 gallons a minute, or maybe even a little bit less. So a big difference for sure. We are in a critical management area, which just basically means that our water resources are dwindling, but good management practices allows us to continue to use our resource as needed. Check this out, this one's not happy. You see the spray compared to that spray? So we need to go in and adjust him. All right, so he's not one that has to actually be adjusted. My calves decided to munch on him, and so I actually need to replace or cut out some of that plastic. But you can see here the grass is really starting to come in. It's gonna thicken up. It's gonna be nice. Go down here, see if anything's got anything going on. Our pumping season basically goes until it freezes, or even a little bit more, because if you keep the water going, it won't freeze. So we'll go probably at least till October. So at least another 6 weeks, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I think this one is actually legit clogged. So we'll put you down and we'll take a look at them. Yep, it's got some junk in it. We'll get rid of it. Got a good spray again. So that's what we're looking for. And I don't see anything else down here that's clogged up. So that's good. All right, so we'll walk back the hill. It is nice to see the grass starting to come in. It took about 14 days or so to come in, and so it's finally coming, and that's a relief. This grass has about an 85% germination rate. We seeded it at 26 pounds to the acre. We put a mixture of let's see, we put brome, a smooth brome, a rye, a orchard, and a fescue. And we got that special custom blend through our seed distributor. And then we got that figured through the state college down here. It's an ag college. And so we had a guy who's very passionate about seed put together this seed program for us, and we did it. Comes my dog to see what we're doing. It's kind of funny, when we first bought this place, we didn't realize there was such a hill, but you can see there is quite a rolling hill on this property. And there is something peaceful about hearing the sprinklers go. The game changes a little bit now. They've got the bales off the field, and I gotta get the water on it. So we can start growing some feed for the calves that are coming in 4 weeks. I need to get it up a little bit. I like to seed about 4 or 5 inches tall, and we'll water with them here, but I need to get ahead of them before they take it out. They're going to be on the field. They're going to be on the corners, this corner, the inside where the house is. So we just got to maneuver some gates around and fences and all that stuff. And running that side roll is very labor intensive, so I'm not quite looking forward to it. But that's okay. But I'm really happy to see water way up on the hill now, because we haven't seen it for a while. So, well, since we planted, that was 2 weeks ago. So this thing has gone around a few revolutions before we've been able to get the water up here, but we've been just working on it each night. And once we can get a little water storage built up, it won't be a big deal. But this now allows us to get about, gosh, I'm gonna say probably about 10 acres back. And as you can see, this over here is way behind from about here. We're missing about a 15-foot strip just on the hill. Everything else is covered. Way down there, or on the inside, wasn't covered. And that's because the pressure was not set correctly, but we've got that fixed now too. And so I got a little bit of the inside circle and a little bit of the hill that's about 2 weeks behind everything else. But we're catching up, and that's what's key. We recognize the problem, we fixed it, we move on. So I'm gonna go get the side roll turned on.